There are very few things in life that are certain. Death, taxes, and Australia beating South Africa to make another World Cup final.
Oh, that is brilliant. It's a hero maximum. On the ground, down the ground, another hero maximum.
My name is Munter, and I'm here with Jacko, and this is your World Cup wrap, brought to you by the Maximum Cricket Podcast. If you like our stuff, then give us a like and subscribe and enjoy this ride. Jacko, it was second versus third, with South Africa being the highest qualifier. The odds were relatively even at the tab. The teams were very even on paper, yet I couldn't have been more surer that the most successful World Cup team in Australia ever was going to tip up a side that had never been to a final. I know Lugsy was hard up Africa, but what were you thinking going into this matchup? Were you thinking the same as me, or did you think we were going to have a South African boil over?
Yeah, I think we sort of discussed it a couple of days ago. I've been harping on about this Australia side this entire World Cup. They just Aussies World Cups, they go together. It's crackers, cheese, whatnot. They just it's a pairing that seems to work, and they always seem to work well. So when Aussie started bowling well up top and their seamers suddenly were like the best seamers in the world again, I thought this was going to be a long way back for Africa. After the toss, I thought, that they've got their recipe here, bat first, put heaps on. And then, STARC and HAZLEWOOD, just brilliant early doors. And then, I thought it was going to be a long way back.
Should we touch
woke up to it being
should we touch on that?
A lot tighter than it was.
Should we touch on that opening spell? Because if, like you said, South Africa did win the toss, they elected to bat, which generally means South Africa make 1,000 and they win. But obviously this is a knockout game of cricket and South Africa turned to shit. There'd been a bit of rain in the build-up, which meant the pitch was under cover. It was cloud cover like Headingley. And that really sort of set up one of the most incredible display of bowling opening spells I can remember with a white ball. 24 for 4 off 12 overs. STARC, HAZLEWOOD, 2 wickets apiece. The first boundary wasn't conceded until the 9th over. They were absolutely on fire in the ring. Multiple saves. The ball was moving around like a wee bit. But I just think this is as good of a new ball spell you will ever see in white or red ball cricket. They've had their issues. The seamers, we've talked about how they're sort of being patched together by Zampa. But you just sometimes forget how good STARC and HAZLEWOOD can be when it all clicks. How impressed as a fast bowler were you?
Oh, yeah. Lights out. I mean, we spoke in the semi-final preview that this is what Aussie needed to win this game, was their sort of quicks and their elite talent to step up where they hadn't been. As you said, Zampa's been piecing them together, but yeah. For HAZLEWOOD and STARC to come out like that, it was just a really you want to poke the bear. The bear's probably going to fight back eventually. And yeah, two of the best in the world operating at a high level. I mean, you said it there, 24 for 4 off 12 overs is unheard of in Test cricket, let alone, white ball cricket on flat ones with a team that's sort of regularly scoring 350 plus when they bat first. So, two sort of world-class players showing why they are and why Aussie's so dangerous. If they've found form right at the back end of this tournament, right when games sort of matter, we could be in for one hell of a final coming up against India.
What do you think the chances are that this final has any nip in it?
Oh, the groundsmen are going to be out there with the Gillette, eh? Like they are going to be a bit of shaving foam on top and just that thing is going to be a mirror, I reckon. You know how in the West Indies, how they like pour petrol down the wicket and light it to dry it? I think that's going to get that sort of treatment, eh? Just not a hair of grass.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got some takes for the final later on, but there's a good chance that STARC and HAZLEWOOD won't be man of the match. Let's put it that way. But South Africa, to their credit, they made a game of it. 24 for 4. I mean, that could have easily been 80 all out. They've done it before. Miller and Klaassen
Yeah.
were tasked with giving the bowlers something to look at. They put on 90 odd for that fifth wicket. Klaassen, the main aggressor, making a runnable 49. He's so lethal against spin. He's got that wee short arm jab he plays when a spinner drops, just that ever so fraction short. He got Zampa a couple of times. Travis Head made the breakthrough, ripping one past Klaassen in the next ball. Marco Jansen, the world's best number 7, was gone first ball for LBW. Suddenly, 119 for 4 goes to 119 for 6, and you're thinking 160 all out. David Miller, though, exceptional. It's a shame they lost because this generally would have been one of the all-time innings. 101 off 116 rocks, brutal against Zampa, who has his troubles against South Africa, it's fair to say, and has been probably the pick of the bowlers through the whole tournament, apart from Shammy, of course. But he was just absolutely dominated. Miller just kept lining up that slog sweep. 7 wicketless overs for 55. That was a brutal takedown. He dragged South Africa to 212 all out, which was famously one short of their 99 total against the same opposition. So they aren't really improving a lot. Jacko, the first semi-final was obviously runs galore, 400 plays, 330 or whatever, hundreds of plenty. But there's just something about 100 in a low-scoring game that just has a little bit more in it. Don't you say?
Yeah, it's just percentage stuff, isn't it? We're talking the game was 440, just under that, 435 for sort of 17. And Miller's 100 for 1 of that. So, a quarter of the runs scored for one guy, and 16 blokes could only piece that together sort of 3 times more. So, it's a losing 100, and a losing 100 in a small total probably magnifies it. So, you want you want a big win and whatnot, but yeah, a century in a small losing total probably is second best.
Requiring 213 to win, Australia really were in the box seat. And after 6 overs, they basically had 1 foot in the final as Travis Head and Warner went ballistic. 60 for none off 6 overs is basically game over sort of stuff. There's been a bit of talk around South Africa choking, and rightly so, to be fair. But I will tell you that they fought their arse off to make this a genuine game. With the bat, they got skittled. They got themselves something in the 200s. And then with the ball, they dragged themselves back into it to give them a sniff later on. Markram made the breakthrough. Rabada got Marsh to make it 61 for 2. Australia still got to 106 for 2 off 14 overs until the number 1 ranked bowler in the world, Maharaj, came on. Till this point, Travis Head was 62 off just 48 rocks, and the ball was turning square. Pretty crazy to leave your best weapon you have in these conditions until the 15th over. First ball, no doubt, goes through the gate, and it's all on from there. Smith and Marnus dig holes before they get out. Maxwell out early, and then when Josh Inglis was cleaned up by a brilliant Yorker by Coetzee, Australia would then 7 down for 193 with still 20 runs to get. Paddy Cummins and STARC, they took 9 overs to get those runs, but they did it without losing another wicket. Australia win by 3 wickets with a couple of overs to spare. Jacko, the obvious takeaway is that South Africa choked and Australia just knows how to win. We will touch on both teams, of course, but let's start with Australia. Have you seen enough in this performance, in the performances leading up to this result, that they have a genuine shot at beating India?
I think this game is now going to be closer than we thought. I think to that semi-final we saw last night, seeing Stark and Hazelwood back, that is what brings it back to, this could be a game. Especially Stark, I think, mainly, because he's just got that ability to bowl miracle balls, which is sort of what it feels like it's going to take to get some of that Indian top order out at the moment. So I can see him just getting one of those Yorkers back through the gate of Rohit, or Hazelwood applying some pressure, and Zampa actually traditionally bowls quite well to Kohli in particular. think he's got him out quite a few times in international cricket. So
He'll be better
there's
as
some
well.
match. Yeah, he'll be better. And South Africa probably is the team that plays him the best. So in terms of matchup wise, I think they've probably got the better matchups for India than South Africa had. Just from some of that stuff, and they play each other a lot. It's become one of the great. It's probably become the great modern rivalry in cricket. I'd say is this India sort of Australia one. Two tough places to win away from home. So yeah, I think this sets us up as a I think if it was Africa, India would be less worried because they would there's just that aura of Aussie at a World Cup and the Australian cricket team in general. So I think I've seen enough of Aussie that we are going to have a seriously good final. The way Maxwell's been playing, the way Head is finding a bit of form here at the back end of the tournament. Mishmarch has been brutal. Smith and Marnus, you still don't rule out a big innings from Smudger, and those quicks finding form at the right time. I think they're peaking at the right time of this tournament, which we they've sort of won 8 or 9 in a row leading into the final, but it feels like they're only just piecing it together, which is probably the scary thing for India. But yeah, I mean, in saying that, India just, apart from one partnership, dispose of us pretty easily. So, and we were playing some good cricket, and we have been the whole tournament. So, yeah, I don't know if the Indian train can be stopped, but maybe Aussie's the wily coyote just changing the tracks and sending them off a bridge. But yeah, it gives me hope that this will be a better game, I think, than if South Africa played in the final, that is.
If you're pro Australia, the case for Australia, you've got to be excited, obviously, about the seamers. And then you're going to think, oh, well, India's not going to give them that sort of nip again. It's going to be a Bunsen burn. It's going to be another used pitch. It's going to be Jadeja 5. But I don't know if it's that simple because that brings Zampa into the game. And there's no way he plays that poorly. South Africa has Zampa's number, Klaasen, Miller, the left-hander. There's no left-handers in that top order for India. It's just Jadeja. So I think he's going to be better. Maxwell's actually been sneaky good with the ball in this World Cup to go on with the bat. And they just littered with match winners all the way through. You could be scared if you're Indian because Australia still hasn't clicked. And at some point they're going to or they won't. I don't know. I guess it's one more game. But I guess if you were pro-India or anti-Australia, the one glaring issue for Australia is they can't play spin. They just repeatedly have struggled in the middle overs against spin. Marnus and Smith were just, honestly, they might as well had shovels out there. They were digging the massive holes. Could not rotate at all. And as good as Maharaj is, Jadeja's going to turn that up to 1,000. So I don't know what he's paying for man of the match, but chuck your house on it. Because I like to see Jadeja 40 off 30, 4 for, 5 for, calling it right now. But regardless of that, I just want to touch on Paddy Cummins, the captain, because he cops a lot of grief. Solar panel Pat, because of his, I guess, climate change stuff, which is neither here nor there. It doesn't bother me. What do you like as a bloke and as a captain? And what have you done for this side? So this Australian side this year, they took India to the brink in a home test series. Well, that's not nothing. They won a test. They won the test championship. They retained an away Ashes. And now they're in the World Cup final against India. Now, if
didn't they
Cummins,
lose their Ashes morally?
Yeah, morally. But it depends on your argument on where you want to say. If you're pro Australia, they retain the Ashes. If you're against Australia, they morally lost and they threw away a 2-0 result. Depends on where you want to see it. But regardless, if they can come home with this World Cup, this would be. I mean, it's already he's becoming an all-time captain. I don't think he can, and I think I was one of them that sort of poo-pooed the appointment of Paddy Cummins as captain. I thought, wow, he's not this World Cup has been the least, for the furthest from his mind with that build up. But I think what it's achieved is it's just sort of like, I guess like the whole team is moving in the same direction. It's sort of stability, if that makes sense. Where if you, as opposed to say England, who have all the excuses in the book, just having that different voice, different leader, can sort of maybe has sort of tilted them in the other direction. Plus they're weak as piss. But Cummins as a skipper, Jacko.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of spoke at the start of this year that the Aussie side did have a run here this year that was actually probably going to make them, one of the great Australia sides. Similar to a Ponting, Warne, Clark era, similar to a War era sort of Australia. Like, is this one of the next great like Australian eras? And what you've just reeled off there just makes it, fuck, if they win this World Cup, they've had probably arguably the best year you could possibly have. I mean, one game away in England from actually, winning that series and ticking that off, and maybe a little bit of a win in India would have made it more. But yeah, I mean, just an exceptional sort of 5 or 6 months, and Cummins has been at the forefront of that. I think it demonstrates more Australia's approach as a whole as well, in terms of like continuity and having one group. And Bazball's been fantastic, but you've lost all the aura of that when you have your different one day coach and a different one day captain and a different message. Whereas this Aussie team is hearing the same message, like that core group of 6 or 7 guys tour the world together, play really tough cricket together all of the time, and they're always building to that next thing. So yeah, I mean, probably 2 ways to skin the cat, but you look at Aussie and you look at the success they've had with a guy who, when Payne was sort of removed as captain under those circumstances, there was some real questions on who was going to sort of lead this Aussie side. And even with when Langer was removed, that was sort of a Cummins move and a player-driven move. So yeah, for him to step up as a leader and for their playing team to respond with sort of 6 months they've had is as good as you could ask for, really. So it probably speaks volume to him as a bloke and a captain, and still the best looking bloke in world cricket to top it all off.
100%, 100%. Well said, Jacko. Let's talk about South Africa. On one hand, they did fight back very valiantly with ball and with bat after poor starts. But they did have poor starts. They lost that game in that first 12 overs after being 4 for spit. Is this a choke?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. A part of me thinks no, because they were actually never in it. So like, I don't think there's, I'll get the stats eventually, but to back this up. But someone will probably correct me in the comments down below if you think I'm wrong. But I don't think there's ever been a more lopsided first 2 power plays, ever.
New
So I'm
Zealand,
gonna claim that, and then this seemed worse. 24 for 4 is fucking dreadful.
They don't mind correcting you in the comments either, so
So I mean, if you can remember one, hit the comments down below and let us know. But I think this could be it. So part of me wants to say no, because of that, but then another part of me wants to say, like, it's the worst of the lot. Like, fucking not even getting off the bus, being 24 for 4, mate. Is this the worst one? Like, dropping the World Cup. That's a bad moment, but that game was close and they were in it the whole time. Is this even worse? Because that this was supposed to be the team that didn't do it. This was the the team that scores 400 on the regular and is playing well, and it's finally going to break this curse and just doesn't. So one part of me says no, because they did fight really hard to stay in the game, which is sort of why we love one day cricket, because you can do that. But the other part of me goes, same old Africa, and this could be the worst of them all.
Yeah, I don't know if I go all the way there. It's the worst of them all. I mean, the 99 is like when you need one to win with 5 balls or 4 balls to spare, and you just run yourself out almost twice. That's That's a
Yeah,
tough pill to
tough.
swallow. But this is a bit different because it's not like, I guess choking. Like most of the time when you think about choking, it's when you're way ahead and you let it slip. But I think there's a bit of choking when you just don't turn up, and
Yeah,
like that start that you can't, like Australia, we're unbelievable. Like we've touched on that, but to just get those 4 wickets, it could have been more, it could have been worse actually. It just like that, I think you touched on it where that's their bread and butter. That's their platform. Bat first, conserve wickets, smash it at the end, and they just got snuffed out right out of the gate. But I don't think it's a full on choke because I don't know how where I put the South African side as like an all time squad. So I'll sort of allow it. It's not like enough since I've had some really bad chokes like against the Netherlands and things like that. That's a choke.
mm.
This is not a great performance, but not a full on choke. Anything else you want to add there, Jacko?
No. I think it's going to be a hell of a final, but I can't see anyone going close to this India side. I mean, I couldn't felt like we were further away in that semi-final. It doesn't feel like anyone's really sort of got them out of fourth gear in the group stages. So I'm hoping for a humdinger, but yeah, I think India win, and I think India win pretty comfortably.
I would agree. And with that, tune in Monday where we will wrap up this World Cup with our final show, the coronation of India's crowning as the best side in the world. This is another wrap-up show. If you did enjoy it, you know what to do. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button, similar to David Miller hitting Zampa at will tonight. Thank you to Jacko to persevere through these technical difficulties, which you will not see in the final cut, but we've had to work through this, similar to Australia working their way through the group stage and the semi. So with that, I will catch you all Monday.